Okay, and we are on. So,
Okay.
how are you? Again.
I'm I'm doing well. I'm
Yeah.
managing. I'm getting there.
Okay. Sweet. Um, and how was your day? What did it comprise of? If
Well,
you're
today I was just um, ending the week, checking all the emails I might have missed. I checked through work. I didn't have too much to do today, so I was trying to just check on what I've had planned for the week as well. Just maybe go through some programming or just try and do some stuff that I was planning to do, which I always procrastinate on. Yeah,
yeah.
and then just caught up on emails here and there. And then I had a leadership meeting at um, 5 p.m. up to 6. It was a very interesting meeting. It was about how we can incorporate technology with vehicles and how we can um, build a model of integrating AI systems and including all these what you would consider sophisticated technologies into mobility and all sorts of vehicles. It was very insightful. We had a software engineer from a company called Valio. It's
Okay.
not here, but
Yeah.
it was very interesting.
Okay. And do they have any plans regarding integrating said systems within our landlocked country?
Well, I've had certain meetings where all that is discussed, and I've come to find out that it is very possible, yes, but we have to consider that certain things are too pricey on our end, whereby we are against the dollar, we are against certain prices that are just not in our favor, but it is very doable. And
Yeah.
it's just it's a new idea. So I think also incorporating these governments and all these legal structures might be just too lengthy. I feel it might take some time before they are seen around here.
So it might take some time, but is it something that seems feasible though?
Yes, it is. But
Okay.
I mean, when you talk about the types of technology that we discuss, they're quite high end,
Yeah.
and you would consider driverless vehicles, you would consider carbon saving tanks. They're very high end products that are not yet um, just acceptable, I think, today. You wouldn't expect a driverless vehicle to move on some of our roads. So it's just
Yeah.
something that's a bit far fetched for now. So we'd leave it up until until the idea is shared more and more.
I was reading up on driverless vehicles though, and I think that's level three as far as like the hierarchy is concerned. Is that something that you feel is already happening on a commercial scale, not only in Zambia, but like on the global scale? Is that something that, say, for example, the company that you had a meeting with is sort of pushing within their region?
Okay, yeah, that's a very good question. We have certain countries that are very for the idea, and maybe they're more
Yeah,
open to such ideas. But for European the rules that are set have to be also incorporated by EU and all that. You need so many things in parliament, the politicians get involved, and it just becomes too much. But we
yeah,
have China already that's, getting, they're always faster with certain technologies. They're always one of the first people to drop it. We have the US did partly, although it's not fully incorporated in most big companies like maybe Tesla, or of course, yes, Tesla has done something, but I'm not so sure about the others. The driverless vehicles, of course, are very, people are still skeptical about them up to now. So it's not too something, it's still something very to be ambitious about even today,
yeah.
even in those countries.
And just looking at companies like Tesla, I mean, I want to drive a Tesla eventually.
Of
I
course.
mean, it's a far-fetched dream, but it's not impossible, I
Yeah.
guess. I was reading up somewhere that they just finished building their Gigafactory. Is it in Texas? I think they launched it there. I might be butchering it, but I think that's what happened.
Mhm.
I think they've actually opened a Gigafactory in China, Berlin, and the recent one was in Texas. Uh, would you happen to know if there are any, I mean, in relation to EV vehicles and the manufacturing of EV vehicles, would you happen to know if there's anything in that regard being done within the African region?
That's one of the most pressing questions that the engineers or the technicians that we speak to get.
Yeah.
The African market is very rigid right now, and it's very straight to the point. We don't want things coming in that will not last or that will only benefit just a small sector of people. At the end of the day, we're trying to broaden how beneficial this idea is. So when it comes to bringing things on the African market, I feel it's going to be there for experimental basis, maybe, so that I think people get to know more about the idea. But fully selling it to individuals is still a high mark right now, even in other countries, because when you consider the pricing, that's one of the major hindrances you find with accessing such technology. So I'm thinking it's there, but it's not too realistic right now.
It's still vaporware to some degree. Well, I'm looking at it in the context of like, if we cross over to that bridge, doesn't that put an end to like, the oil industry? And I feel like it would disrupt 80% of like the oil system, I guess. Because if you look at a country like the US, the reason the US is in countries like Iraq, for example, is because of oil. So I don't want to be like a conspiracy theorist or to be controversial in that regard, but like, don't you feel like whoever is trying to like start that kind of revolution or push the EV market, or rather the EV revolution in that regard would be sabotaged?
Partly, yes, but I feel most of the companies that I have contact with are working towards what's this, carbonless vehicles, something that won't burn anything. They're working on electric cars. They're working on these new end solar charged vehicles. They're really cutting down the cost of any of these fuels. So at the moment, the battle with these gas selling places or these gas consuming companies that already exist, I feel like that's somehow bound to happen in one way or the other.
It's
but
never.
it's not too, yeah. Already we have too many people looking for solutions to global warming at the moment. So it's $1 million idea to bring something to light that is really going to save people money or time to think of, let's stop burning gas and let's just have this idea. So I guess I'm not too enlightened on that, but that's the little that I know.
Okay. And speaking of global warming, is that an idea or, I mean, a theory or philosophy that you bought into, like upon hearing it for the first time? Is it something that sort of had to sink in for you, or is it something that you sort of like believed the first time you heard about it?
Wow, I've never been asked that before. So let me try and dig into my memory of when I heard of it. Okay, growing up, I was always, a little person who wants to be very involved with what's going on around me. So I wasn't just taking in any information. I did my own, let me say, a little bit of scientific research, which I would look at as, I would be noticing, when I see weather patterns get extreme, then I'll keep asking those questions up until I receive answers, maybe via whatever meteorological research I find. It somehow happened that it was something that people had been too asleep to actually realize until when you see the dire effects of it. So up to today, I feel it's very real, it's happening. So I don't even want to argue right now about it. Like, it's not something I would want to put on the table for discussion to say, is it real? Is it not? I'm like, you have all the evidence around you. Yeah.
Okay, great. I mean, okay, we're going to sideswipe for a minute here because you mentioned growing up and being interested in things like research and science when you were younger. Is that something that you sort of wanted to be from the time you were a kid, I guess? Did you always want to do something that's like science and research based or research related?
Oh, okay. That's down memory lane again. Okay.
Sure.
A little background about me.
Yeah.
I I've always been in science clubs. I've always been involved in science from the time I was 9. So growing up, it was always my thing. I never found something more fulfilling anyway. So I did JETS when I was in secondary school. I did national fairs, I did regional fairs, I did inter-school fairs. So it was just my thing. I never felt something else belonged to me. And right now I'm doing engineering. I want to major in mechatronics engineering right now, and I'm
Nice.
still on my way. Yeah. So it's a passion that has always been there. I don't think there's anything else. I mean, I have tried other things.
Okay.
I have once had this passion to say, you know what, one day I will be an accountant.
Yeah.
Up to today, money still confuses me. So, um, so
Yeah.
I can't imagine myself doing any other thing apart from my job, which came to me almost naturally because I did it before I had that paper that would say, so you're skilled in this, so you can do this. No, it was just my mere wits and skill that first got me my first editor job. And then from there, I built up to doing other projects. And from other projects, I was landing other gigs. Like, eventually, it just became natural. I can't say I felt more comfortable in any other field. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And where did you grow up?
I was born in Chingola. I was raised there. Yeah. I've now I'm in Kitchen.
Oh, okay, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So, you're doing your school at CBU?
Yes, I am.
Oh, okay, cool, cool. And I mean, just being a girl, I mean, I don't know. I know it's a sensitive topic to jump into these days because of like cancel culture and whatnot. But like being a girl and being interested in things like research and science, was there ever pushback or some kind of like stereotypical force, for lack of better terms, when you were younger? Like, it could be from friends, family, or your peers in school, just having that negativity towards you and your interests, and maybe wanting you to do something more female,
Feminine.
feminine. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, I'm happy I was brought up by a dad who was an engineer himself.
Oh,
My
great.
mother wasn't, but I never even felt that difference between me and my younger brother at some point because he made me do stuff that ordinarily you would think, well, why are you doing this now?
Yeah.
It's of no use to you. Like, maybe he'll tell, like, I was lucky enough to have grown up in a home where everything was up to me. They allowed me enough to say, do what you want to do with your life. I remember at one point in my life, I was doing technical drawing.
Mhm.
I didn't like it. I didn't want
Yeah.
it actually until, it was some of the teachers that I had, they were the ones who told me, just go ahead with this. And my resistance was myself at the moment, at that time. So I think the highest opposition I've ever faced is myself. People around me have always encouraged me. I mean, I'm happy that things today have changed from the way they were before, like in the past. It
Yeah,
wasn't too common, but now I think the world is more accepting. Except there was only a time when, I was done with school and they were like, well, I mean, the best option for you right now is health. That destroyed me
wow.
because for the first time, I never imagined myself as a health practitioner in any way, a doctor or anything. And that
Yeah,
force was somehow stronger. At the end of the day, I was thinking, well, why is everyone telling me to do medicine? I can't do medicine even if you forced me to do it. I'm not saying I can't study it. I can study
yeah.
and pass right now because it's a science,
Oh,
yes. And
cool.
it's not my science. It's not
Yeah,
mine. I can't. I remember biology. I would be reading it and I would just fall asleep. Every time I would open a book, I'm like, I can't do this for 7 plus 6, 7 plus years. Like, no. And it took me time to actually convince my parents at the point to say, I'm not going to do medicine. Guys, please let me do something else. I'd rather do mathematics right now because I feel it's just more something that I feel more gifted at. And
yeah.
my dad had to make an extreme measure by actually calling a chemical engineer from Lumwana mine to talk to me personally to make me change
Wow.
my mind. That's the only resistance I once faced to tell
Oh,
me
wow.
to do medicine. I'm like, if you really took that step, you're really convinced I should just do medicine. And then now it seems they've accepted it and moved on.
Yeah, are you at liberty to disclose their comments regarding your current day-to-day work?
I think they were partly surprised and partly because, okay, I guess sometimes I just didn't tell them every single detail. I'll just tell them at the end of the day, I'm doing this, so that's how. But I um, I mostly just they would notice me on my computer almost all day.
Yeah,
So at times I wouldn't even be there to make lunch, breakfast. I would have to like walk to the kitchen, just come back. It was up to the time they noticed I was too glued to my computer for several hours a day. Then I had to say, I'm busy with this. I have this project, I have to get it done at this time. And that's the problem. Every job that I'm handling right now is very time demanding. It's um, it's quite something that I wasn't too used to, but so everyone around me had to adjust to me just waking up and being on the computer or just having meetings like this, being on phone calls that will be whereby I'll be just engaged with my computer almost all day. And now yeah.
so does most of your work comprise of remote work? Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So one of them is where I'm an editor for the AI company.
Okay.
And then I have another job as an operations coordinator at it's a startup tech company Causa Vision Technologies, the only
Yeah.
one where I can have hands-on like physical interaction with people, and that's where I can although majority of my teammates are still scattered around the
Okay.
world as well. So that's funny again. I can say it's in person because I mean the company is here, the founder and the founder is here.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and then there's one in Russia, one in Canada, and a few other Zambians in Lusaka. So the only problem with the meet is I think just the fact that we can't meet physically. We can only meet with some members. Yeah,
Okay. And I mean, you said you studied or are studying engineering?
I am studying. So I might start my mechatronics major this November.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's amazing. Have you worked on any projects so far?
Um, Depends on what
I mean,
area. Is it at work?
no, no, so sorry. That was too general. Under your engineering course, have you?
Mm, I can say so, but it's majority of the work is academic. So I
Oh,
have built a few things here and there.
yeah.
I have just made, one of these things that they're very rigid. You're told to do this, so you do it exactly to the specifications. You don't do it to your heart's content. So
Yeah.
I wish it was that way. I have built a few ammeter extensions and range extensions for some analog meters. Yeah.
Oh, nice. So is it more practical as opposed to theoretical or vice versa?
Oh, for okay.
Yeah.
It's for educational purposes. We had both, so
Oh, okay.
everything balanced out. Yeah.
I don't know if you're at liberty to like disclose your future project, but is there anything groundbreaking or innovative that you have in the pipeline? I mean, if you're not at liberty to disclose that here, it's cool. It's totally understandable.
Um. Well.
Sorry, Kima, your network was dodgy. It dropped. It dropped for a
Oh,
minute.
okay.
Yeah,
Oh, pardon me.
it's cool.
Um.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't mind repeating what you just said, that would be
Oh,
cool
I
too.
just said I can't disclose what the companies are doing, but I
Okay.
can. I wish I could speak for myself right now, but I
Yeah.
just don't want to say it while I'm being recorded. If that
No,
makes sense.
we want to hold you to it. So
I mean, I just feel people are too smart nowadays. So
yeah.
everyone's out there, everyone's looking, you have to look out for yourself somehow. But I'm fine with sharing it, but I mean, on another time. But when I get to a stage where I'm free to just say I've done at least half of the work for it, so I can share it to the world.
Cool. Hey, Joe, how are you?
I have a question for you, please, if I may.
Sure. Fire away.
What's your job? Where is your job, or what do you do?
Do you want the surface answer or the detailed answer?
Detailed will do.
Well, the detailed answer is I am a DevOps engineer for an NGO called Japaigo. It's an affiliate of the Johns Hopkins University. It's a research institute from Baltimore, I think, in the US. But then they deployed me. Yeah, I was deployed at the GNC, the General Nursing Council of Zambia, and they pretty much tasked me to automate all the paper-based systems there to digital systems.
Mm.
So I'm
Oh,
pretty
okay.
much leading the development operations there. So my work comprises of day-to-day IT consultancy tasks and services, strategy planning to software development. I mean, it's the nitty-gritty of systems development and systems architecture. So yeah,
That's very interesting. Is
yeah.
it intense, stressful in any way, or is it more light at the moment?
At the moment, I would say it's not as stressful as my previous jobs because when I started out as a software developer, it was intense. I worked in the healthcare sector for about 4 years. And at the same time, I was running an independent platform where I had dreams and aspirations of building a game, and as well as
Oh,
uh, yeah, as well as a game that I wanted to sort of like use for educational purposes and the like. It was an open source game engine that I wanted to use for education and research. So I wanted to build a community around that regarding getting a bunch of programmers and anyone that was interested in innovation to sort of like merge and work on innovative systems
Is
to
that
do.
still happening or it's
I gave up that
archived?
dream. I gave up that dream because we are in Zambia, so everything here is far-fetched.
Oh, that was too soon. I feel like that was too soon.
Too soon. It was 4 years of my life. Joseph is could be my witness. Uh, yeah, I
Are
mean, he
you
could.
workmates? I have no idea how you two are balancing. I don't. Are you? How did you get to know each other, or are you workmates,
Uh,
friends?
well, first and foremost, we are friends. And secondarily, we met in school, university.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah. Um,
That's
yeah, it
nice.
was after that I asked Joseph to sort of like join me on my uh, phantasmagoric endeavors of trying to innovate in
Okay.
Zambia. So yeah, um, yeah, but I mean, I haven't given up on it
Excuse
fully. It's just it's a task that I feel like I could get back to if I sort of had a team to work with me in that regard, because that was the primordial intent was to have uh, a, a community of developers in that regard, um, as opposed to the day-to-day build a website, build a healthcare management system, build a payroll system kind of thing. So I was trying to push
me.
that initiative of having innovation in Zambia, but I mean, it's still
So
something
is
I'm
it the
interested in.
interest? Is
Sorry?
it interest from people that you've found difficult to find?
Yeah, yeah,
Interest.
and I mean, it and understandably so because I mean, passion doesn't really put food on the table. If you look at it realistically, I would say
Yep.
maybe 99.9% of the people that actually get to be get to do that are like less than, I'd say it would be roughly just 1% of outliers in Zambia. So I mean it's
Yeah,
hard. So yeah, so you sort of have to balance it out with your day-to-day job, and if your day-to-day job is stressful or if it involves a lot,
exactly.
then yeah,
I
it's
understand that. Yeah.
yeah. What about you? Do you have any passion projects that you
But
aspired to do,
I,
or yeah?
so I feel like I'm doing what I wanted to do.
Oh yeah,
I've always admired leadership. So I've always also been disappointed with what we have. So I feel like I I just thought about this one day. I'm like, I wish there was a leadership program I could join. So then eventually I came across this link which took me to a leadership program that was being offered. The best part is it's free and it's intense. It's very thorough. You get to meet world business leaders, whereby I feel if everyone was exposed to this, we would be so different with the way we handle this whole approach to just waking up one day and you're the president of something, you're the leader of something. And so I
yeah.
feel like since I joined that community, it's called the Share Leadership Program of Excellence.
Okay.
It's run through, I think, almost every continent except Australia right now.
Oh,
So I
interesting.
just had the meeting today where we met with one of the team leaders from Valio, and I've met quite a number of very, very well professionals. Is how good they were because they were book smart. It was
Yeah,
mostly, hidden qualities that you wouldn't ordinarily find, especially with our upbringing of leaders here. I feel like it was more unique in a sense that you are taught to do well and do good. in a sense, it means even if you get to achieve all the things you want to achieve in life, where you have a good job, a good salary, of course, everyone wants that.
Yeah.
And you need to balance that out with it. That means you're doing well, but you need to do good with all that you're achieving. It makes no sense to have all these successful entrepreneurs who are just growing up to just feed themselves and their families. What are they doing to actually stretch out to reach out to other people? I feel like that's really teaching me how to balance this ambitious career and all that I'm pursuing, which
Nice.
often gets ahead of me sometimes, whereby you really want to get there someday. You really want to achieve this, but we're living in a world where this gap between people who are earning way less and people are earning more than enough is widening all the more each day. And
Yeah.
that is quite saddening to realize. Yeah. And then, yeah, I feel like I'm learning how to balance these two. And it's not teaching me just to say I'm a leader or I'm the one at the top. It's teaching me to really be a solution um, innovator, whereby I see a problem, I really think about it, I present a solution in every problem that I'm seeing,
Yeah.
just down to the very small details of, yeah. So I think that's the most interesting community that I've found. And then the only others, pardon me if I'm talking too much, I
No,
get
no, I
excited
mean,
sometimes.
that's exactly what we are hoping for.
I hope,
I just
yeah.
noticed how like
I
enthusiastic
feel if I,
how enthusiastic you are
yeah,
about
I
it.
mean,
So that's awesome. Yeah.
yeah. So that's one of the communities that I really enjoy, and I also get to recruit the incoming um, university students. I do tell them about it. I try to spread the word to say try and join this program, because it's hard to find people. I understood your struggle saying you want to find people who are interested in these types of projects.
Yeah.
And then I've also struggled with that as well, so much so. I've struggled with, finding people. Yes, I do find people who are book smart, but not everyone wants to think outside the box. Not everyone wants to just sit somewhere and think of a solution. And that's what I need
Yeah.
for this recruitment. So apart from that, there's the work community. They're very splendid people. I enjoy being around them. And then there's my friends at the tech company. It's mostly people I know, so it's very easy to communicate with them. It's very easy to just say what you want. If something's not done well, like there's not too much tension or a barrier between what you want and how things are moving.
Awesome.
So I guess, yeah.
Oh no,
Did Joseph
please
just join
carry
us?
Yeah, it seems like he's still having trouble with his audio. Can you see him though? Are you able to see him on your end?
I cannot see him.
Well, you can't see him. I mean, I can see him, but I can't hear him.
No. Oh, okay.
Joe. Anyway, cool. Okay, cool. He says he's going to drop off and try to rejoin.
Okay.
Hello? Hello? Kima, are you able
Oh,
to?
sorry. Yeah, I can hear you, but I can't hear Joseph if he's saying.
Oh no, he dropped off. I think he's going to try to rejoin.
Okay.
Yeah, I was asking about.
I have a question. Oh,
Sure, shoot.
yeah.
You can ask first, and then I'll revert to mine after.
Has your academics or your career ever costed you your social life?
Wow. Still does.
Oh,
Still does. I mean, it's a Friday
okay.
night, and we're here having this conversation. So yeah. Well,
I could,
most of our peers are out and about, gallivanting and merrymaking and having a good time, I guess. So yeah, I mean, it's I feel like it's a sacrifice that you have to make.
yeah.
Yeah. Uh, I mean, is it fair for me to, I mean, to ask you the
Um,
exact same question?
sure.
Yeah.
I have I think that's something I've noticed later on right now. And that's
Mhm.
something I'm trying to improve on because I don't spend much time socializing. And it's like I remember last year vividly, I spent Christmas and New Year in my room working.
Oh,
So I feel like I'm trying to reduce on that because it's now doing more damage. So
oh,
I'm slowly getting there. Although I know I'm still trying to manage it well because I
yeah,
always have this idea that if I get to finish everything I want to do on time, and if I get to do each and every task well, that's when I'll make time for other things. But
yeah,
this is when I'm realizing, well, some things need sacrifice or some things really need to be taken a little bit looser. I was very, very hard when it came to just like doing what I was supposed to do. I never compromised. I never did um, take the time to just say, let me go out, let me do this, let
yeah.
me. So this is when I'm beginning to build work on that. Yeah, that's why I asked that question.
I can relate to some degree because during the time I was working on my game and game engine, just the whole gamification platform thing, I think I only get about 2 hours of sleep every day, and yeah, it was pretty intense. I had no
Wow.
social life, and that was pretty much all I was thinking about and all I was doing. And I guess in a way, it helped me get better as far as like my programming was concerned. But at what cost, right? Yeah, but lately, I think lately I've been trying. I too have been trying to strike a balance. So I mean, I feel like at the end of the day, that's all you can do is just find a balance and act. And so like Saturdays,
Yeah.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
off that I'm not gonna touch any work. I'm gonna get back to like playing video games and having me time because I haven't gotten to do a lot of that in the recent years. Uh, I don't socialize as much either. I don't go out much. Even with the advent of COVID. So, uh,
Oh,
yeah,
I mean, that became an excuse now.
exactly. It became an excuse for all of us nerds and introverts, I guess. Uh, I'm sure you can attest to that as well. But yeah, I feel like you have to
Difficult.
strike
Yeah.
a balance. Yeah, I mean, it could.
Hello,
This might be
hello, Joseph. Is he still here?
Hi, Kima. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you
Yes,
now,
I can
Joe.
hear
How are
you.
you doing?
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, but I've actually been listening in for the last 10 minutes. I think it's just my audio and video that wasn't or that weren't working fine.
Sweet man. How
Okay.
is Solwezi?
So noise is fine.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Are you in
it's
Soloti right now?
yeah, I'm in Solwezi.
I didn't ask last meeting. What do you do there?
Well, much like how you said it, like like trying to just mention it on the surface, it's actually audit. So like I'm just here for a short period of time. I'm
Oh,
actually
okay.
based in Osaka. Yeah, so I will be like returning at the end of the month. Yeah.
Oh,
So it's actually IT audit. Um, yeah, with a bit of analytics. Yeah. I guess maybe that's something that's maybe where it's a bit, I mean, similar to your work around the AI bit. Yeah, but it's generally
oh,
just
okay.
IT. Yeah.
Okay.
Tumelo,
So
are you also in Osaka?
yes, I am. I reside here. Been here for a long
Oh, okay.
time. Yeah.
I think
Sound
to me,
like you've never left. Okay.
I think you forgot to mention one thing though when you mentioned this game. So he actually, Tumelo actually does rock music. That's another thing. I know he's going to,
Oh,
but
Not
yeah, you
anymore.
might have heard of Space Spray. Like,
That was
okay.
yeah,
college, dude. That was college.
huh?
That was
It was in
college.
college.
That was college. I'm sorry, Kima. Joseph is trying to sideswipe the conversation here. I mean,
You have a question?
sorry,
Did you have a question?
me or Joe?
I remember you. I might have interrupted you just before
Oh
now.
yeah. What was the question? I mean, I lost my
I think
train
you're
of
talking
thought.
about work-life balance. Yeah, and
Oh
how you
yeah,
manage
yeah. I was about to
to.
get into like a personal question, but that's only if you're at liberty to answer it. Like regarding your social life, is that like a complaint that you got from a close friend or someone in that regard? Like, I mean, I was like, Kima, no, you don't call me anymore, or you don't call me anymore, Kima.
Mm, well,
It's work thing. It's always work, work. No, I'm just joking. Yeah,
I can say in one way or the other, yes, mostly my family, because
okay.
I feel sometimes they're the most affected. I remember I hadn't, I feel like you always have to see your family at least on a regular basis, whenever you can. But at a point, I got so busy. I didn't visit home. I didn't come, I just always found, I was always pushed it. I always said later. And I remember the church as well told me, well, are you still a member here? And then, it just made me feel so left out. And it
Yeah,
was quite embarrassing. But I mean, it's one thing I've always wanted to find out from people who are in doing such jobs or who are just as stressed out. So I always want to find out how it's okay to just balance them, or how they find the time. Because I mean, I had my own this brute way of doing things, which
yeah.
almost even damaged my own self. Yeah.
Uh, I mean, you just opened up a Pandora's box. When you say damage to yourself, do you mean mentally?
Of course,
Oh,
yes,
okay.
I did. Yes,
You
I did
mean,
spend a lot of time alone as well, because I was too occupied. When I was given jobs on Christmas and New Year's, I could have had the option to decline them.
yeah.
There I was, clocking in for work. I don't know, I was serious. I was like, well, I mean, everyone's gone home right now. What am I doing here? That was a serious question I asked myself.
Hopefully, you didn't suffer like a mental breakdown or meltdown.
Not too extreme though. It just became concerning, like really
Oh, okay.
concerning. Yeah.
Did you ever talk to a professional regarding that? I mean, he said it wasn't too extreme, so I guess it wasn't as heavy. But anyway, you know what? Just forget I asked that question.
Wait, actually, well, anyway, I think Kima doesn't mind answering this.
Okay. Oh,
It's an
I think I'll
interesting
phrase it
question.
out in a more sugar-coated way. Do you feel like talking to a therapist is something that people in our line of work uh, need to do or need to consider? Because it is mentally draining, and
I
I
think
can,
that
yeah.
it is. It
Mhm.
is. It is very much. I feel, apart from, of course, friends who are always there to encourage you, to just tell you, it's important.
Yeah,
I just because I feel 2021 for me has been the roughest year, the toughest compared to last year. When I was working last year, I was much more easygoing. But
yeah,
this year really brought out the the maximum of what I can reach when it came to just saying, let me do this and let me get it done.
yeah,
And I feel like somehow that's inhuman to do so.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, if you go back as far as like our ancestors, but again, for lack of better terms, our ancestors,
Generations back. Yeah.
our forebears, yes. They didn't spend time sitting in front of like a computer screen. They went out and like hunted and
Exactly.
farmed. So do you feel like this is something that's sort of like a mankind decline as far as like our physical and mental attributes are concerned? I know it's a trade-off in a way, which makes it ironic.
Yeah.
But yeah, Do you feel like we're headed towards idiocracy, or are we actually getting smarter? Or is
I
it the smarter we get?
That question is more
Yeah,
philosophical than it is what I'm good at. But
I love philosophers.
I did see the news today.
Yeah.
Imagine I saw BBC News today, and it just blew my mind.
Mhm.
People in, like, I think in some countries are literally using AI systems in their churches to recite prayers and sermons. So I was thinking, if this is what we're getting to, I think we're moving backwards. No longer did people have a priest in this Catholic church. They had this AI system. They covered it up in this robe and this attire, and then it was
An
literally
AI
acting
priest?
as a priest. Yes, and
Whoa.
the AI system was able to, give the exact words, even if they fed it with, I don't know, 10,000 years old of knowledge. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. I feel like if that's where we're heading, it gave me a headache for a while just to think about how strange the idea was. Even this Buddhist monk place, they had their goddess as a whole AI system that spoke from their holy script. I was like, if that's how far we are going, I mean,
Yeah.
leave certain things to human beings. I
Yeah.
know when it comes
Yeah.
to such things, spirituality or religion, I mean, that's the most human, that's the most I think, integral place you'd think of finding human beings, actual human
Yeah.
beings. And
Yeah.
I thought, well, we've been invaded. Like, even that space has been invaded.
Hmm.
That got me thinking, well,
That's super interesting, though. Do you feel like we are living in the singularity already? Like, do you feel like it's happening or is yet to happen?
I think that's somehow one of the reasons I feel blessed to be in Africa. In as much as we're not too into the future, we
Yeah.
still come back to the reality of being human and being down to earth. I feel like if I were to leave this country now and go to Japan, go to some place, I feel like
That's the
I
dream
would
country, though,
just
Huma. That's
lose
the
my
dream
mind a
country.
bit.
That's where Joseph and I want to
It's
spend our future vacations.
I
Right, Joe?
mean,
Right?
there's nothing wrong. I mean, I want to see all those fancy machines. I really do. But
Yeah.
somehow, yeah, when I watch the news, such headlines, I'm like, well, I mean, it's not, Africa isn't so bad after all.
Yeah.
So I really do enjoy watching. I really do want to see all those stuff. But
But do you feel like we're
you
ever
asking about,
sorry?
pardon?
Oh, no, I was just going to ask if you feel like we're going to get to a point where uh, AI takes over, like a Terminator Skynet situation.
Mm. Mm. I
I mean,
think that's
I
more
feel I feel like you
fiction.
would know best because
It's,
you work for an AI company that's based in more than one region on planet Earth.
yeah.
So yeah,
I feel in as much as we do work there, they still tell us to be as human as possible.
yeah,
Because yes, I feel it's something it's a mindset as well. Like our smartphones are taking up majority of our time. We can't even just stare at someone across the room. You have to be on your phone scrolling through. So I feel to some extent, yes, but there's a fictitious way people have put it, like in movies where the robot takes over, and I think that's more fiction.
yeah,
But honestly speaking, if the smartphones are the ones that we are unable to see as the robots or the systems, they have already taken over. They're already on their way, or they're already consuming us slowly.
yeah. I
Don't
was
you think
talking. I was
maybe
sorry, Joe. Yeah, I mean, you were asking about the STEM Foundation.
Yeah. because with the recent ministry that the new president brought in, I feel it was a good enough, like, it was a good idea to have it. So then I learned about the STEM Foundation. And when I got to know about it, it was very interesting. And I feel it's a good place to start if you feel like really building a small community or whatever idea you have. It's a good place to really find the minds that you're looking for or the interests people might have that you might have in common.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering if you've heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and alongside the STEM community, we had hackathons here. We had DevCons and the Indaba workshop that
the deep learning Indaba.
the deep learning Indaba
Oh,
workshop
okay.
that Joseph I think was like semi orchestrating at the time, I think. And then
So we have one annually.
yeah, and the
Oh, okay.
artificial intelligence community. I feel like COVID inhibited a lot of the said meetups that I just mentioned. But I feel like once things normalize, we're going to get back to it. I was actually on the verge of joining that Zambian robotics group, like right before COVID hit. So, because that's everything that I wanted to do was centered around robots and whatnot. And that's pretty much why I decided to work on the game as my university project, because it started out as like a university project. Uh, I was gonna work on like a robot of sorts. Then I figured it was gonna be more involving and expensive. So I figured, hey, what's um, like a low level, cheaper way I could still get to work with like logic systems and robots in that regard. And I figured, hey, why not just build a game? Because in games there's like AI
So
involved.
much going on.
AI in quotes. There's like everything involved. There's like graphics programming. There's networking. There's like visual and sound design. And
I
then
thought games are built by teams.
yeah, but
the type of game.
no, it's actually super interesting if you get to look at the gaming industry. There's the large scale games from like the large scale companies like EA and Rockstar. Games like Grand Theft Auto and FIFA. Those are like the big games that are developed by 500 plus people. And then there's a small sect as well that's called the indie game community. So these are games that are pretty much developed by 2-3 developers, and they rake in a lot of funds as well. Have you ever played the game Limbo?
Yes.
Yeah, so Limbo is an example of an indie game. That game was developed by a small team, and I think it grossed about $8 million, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow, I didn't.
Yeah, and
It looks too basic.
Yeah,
like it had the bare minimum
yeah,
of.
yeah. Another game. I mean, that's like a really good example of a small game that sort of like amassed huge funding as well as like built a large community is Minecraft. I'm sure you've heard of
Minecraft. I have the brother who plays that. I've never understood what's
so
fascinating about.
Yeah, but I mean that was like a game that was built by an indie developer as well. But then
I get it now.
Yeah. So if you look at sums of money like $5 to $8 million, I mean amongst a team of like 500 plus people, that's relatively like not a lot of money. But amongst a team of like 5 people, that's enough to like
It's a
get used to that for a long time. So yeah. So I mean that was part of the intent as well. I was trying to build a gaming community here in Zambia as well, like a community of game developers, like legit game developers, not people that just drag and drop. I'm not going to coach it, but yeah. So I was trying to get a community like that involved and push it onto like the educational front as well. I mean, you could imagine having a game design slot or syllabus at universities, like CBU and UNZA. Imagine if you could push that kind of like incentive or department. I feel like it would be game changing, but
Yeah.
I feel like it's something that's still in the pipeline for some people, because I did get to meet a bunch of people that I didn't even know were like as interested in game design. So there's actually like a mini movement of game developers in Zambia, and people are still pushing. It's
Yeah.
still super inspiring to like see them go at it. But for me, I feel like when I got into it, it wasn't really for the artsy part of it. Maybe initially it was, but then as I dug deeper, I figured that, hey, I feel like I enjoy the more technical side of it. So just the whole
Oh, okay.
logic, like you programming logic into objects. And it's like, oh, okay, so when this happens, that happens, when this happens, like it's pretty much you architecting the building blocks of how a system should work. And if you approach software development or problem solving, it could be AI, it could be anything in the same regard. I feel like you do get to unlock something in that regard, because making a game is hard. It's super hard. But
I
then,
know.
yeah, but then if you get to approach
Yeah.
each and every single like task or problem that's been assigned to you in that regard, you could find interesting ways of approaching it, and I guess that's what got me to where I am to some
And
degree.
maybe,
Yeah.
yeah, and out of interest, well, I didn't actually know you've sort of like abandoned the whole idea. Oh, I'd like to call it
It's on
just
temporary
shelving.
hiatus, man. It's on temporary
Yeah,
hiatus.
but maybe like out of,
I mean, I think late last month, I actually put up that one post of the game I was building at the time. And I was like, if anyone is interested in like taking taking this, on taking up this project, then I'm super interested to like have that discussion with you. And I pitched it to Bongo Hive as well. But I
yeah.
think that
Okay.
was before COVID hit as well. So, a lot happened before COVID. It just, so after that like disruption, I haven't followed up on that. But I feel like I should be more aggressive with it, because I'm looking at like the younger generation as well. I mean, there could be a kid just like any of us that's super interested in, something as rudimentary as game design, and they would want to do that as a career, because that's a full-fledged career in developed countries like the US. I could call myself a game designer. Like I wake up every day to go work at a gaming
To
company,
develop
and
games.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's like it's legit. But here it's like it's almost stereotypical in a way, and you sort of have to be an outlier if you're gonna make it in that regard.
Yeah.
I feel like
Yeah.
maybe that was part of it as well. Maybe it was like a psychological thing of like wanting to be taken seriously by your peers. But then if you're like failing at it or struggling to like
Yeah.
make ends meet, and
I
they're
feel
like,
like,
you're still trying to develop games, man. So it's like, sorry, I feel like
yeah.
I'm rattling as well. Sorry, Joe.
No.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I actually feel like I think the other bit might be just like how like the whole concept is packaged and the first target audience that you'd have in mind. When you look at like organizations, right? Like there's a lot of onboarding that's going on. There's a lot of training where like gamification would actually help. So if yeah, depending on who like you'd actually want to target first as the first people that you'd want to develop for, like you might or might not get like sufficient support. And
Yeah.
obviously maybe the other constraint might be just like finding a faster and easier way of building, because obviously like requirements, clients would obviously then give like multiple requirements that can't be implemented in a very short space of time, and knowing how clients would obviously want to see results at the shortest time possible. Yeah,
Then you
maybe that
see,
might be the
sorry to cut you short, but like therein lies the problem. For curious
yeah.
minds, like us, right? It's we want to get into the nitty gritty of everything. So if I start developing a game and I figure out that there's like open source tools, for example, there's the Unity game engine, there's Godot, and there's Unreal, and I figure that wait, these are like game engines that are owned by an entity that I'm not in control of. So I want to like learn how to like build my own game engine and then build a game using my game engine. Because if I want to like add or modify a feature that's game engine related, then I could do that myself. And if Unity decides to like strip off the game or make it subscription based or whatnot, then that means I'm in trouble, right? But if I'm running my own game engine, it means I have like the full, like administrative authority over it. So I feel like that's what sort of like, I feel like that's where you need a business analyst as well. And I feel like I'm not business savvy. Maybe I am now because I've been in the tech industry for a couple of years now, and I've seen how like the business analysis side of it runs, and it's super interesting as well. I always looked at it with disdain back in the day. I was like, nah, I'm just the engineer. I don't want to talk business.
I still do that. I still like.
But that, we're gonna get to you, Kima, because you spoke about leadership, and you mentioned that it's something that's super inspiring and something that you're sort of like driven by currently. So is that something that you aspire to be as well? Is like an entrepreneur or an innovator, someone like I don't want to put the cliche term and call you a lady in tech, but like, do you want to revolutionize something in that regard? Like to say, oh, okay, I started my own thing, and
of course. I do want to set up my own business someday, but I feel like I want to take as much time to learn from others right now. I'm willing to take as many years as possible to be under someone right now. I feel it's the best way to just give me a stepping stone. I don't want to rush into something that I'm not fully convinced of in the first place. Yeah, so that's my whole idea. I do want to start up my own thing one day.
Okay, and that'll be within the tech space.
Of course, yes.
Awesome. Yeah, and okay, so going back to your statement, Joel, you remember I did actually try to market the game in that regard, because initially it was just a basic puzzle adventure game, but then as far as like
you ever put it up on the Play Store or somewhere public?
It was going to be a PC game actually, and a friend of mine, one of my peers, is actually still working on his game. It's called Project Lumpa. I think you can look it up. It should be on all social media platforms. But it's basically it's a horror sci-fi kind of game that's based off the folklore of Lenshina. I'm not sure if you ever heard of Lenshina from was it Northern Province or Eastern? I don't remember.
I think she was in the northern
Province. Yeah. So this is basically you're not familiar. This is a woman that was worshipped. She was like a cult leader in a way during the times of President Kaunda. Yeah. So I don't want to like ruin the premise, but I'll just end there. You can look it up, and whenever you have time, if you ever have time. So that friend of mine told me, hey man, like if you want to get sponsorship, or if you want to get funding from, donors from abroad, especially the Western and European fronts, they're very, very, very interested in folklore, like African folklore, because all the Western and European ideas are like sold out at the moment, maybe even Asian as well.
Yeah.
So they're coming to us for that folklore as well. So I figured, hey, that'll be a good business opportunity as well, because then I could use what I know about my African folklore to like sell the game. So then for me, it was a game. Initially, it was a game about exploring the properties of quantum mechanics, because I'm super interested in like space and string theory and quantum theory and
I really hate that. I really, it still gives me nightmares. I really,
it's super interesting though, but I feel like it's more
It is. It was hard. It's very, it
it
still
is
haunts me
very,
up to
very,
today. Mm.
very confusing as well. So then I figured, hey, why
Yeah.
not include folklore as well? So then I looked at the story of
Okay.
uh, those this science teacher from the 1960s, I think. His name was Mukuka Edward Nkoloso, yes. And this dude basically wanted Zambia to be part of the space program. I'm sure you've seen footage of like a dude
I've
that
seen that on
people
YouTube.
laugh at.
Yes. Oh
Yeah,
my, I've
yeah.
seen that on
He wanted to
YouTube.
take us
It
to
was
space.
so funny.
Yeah, but I mean,
Mm.
don't you feel like he was ahead of his time and then
It was,
outlier?
I mean,
I
he
mean,
was
we
ambitious, but
I
Was
mean
it
we laugh
recorded
at
like
him.
from the episode?
Yeah,
Or
I mean we laugh at him, but he pretty much was onto something. That's the same way I feel
yeah.
like
yeah. Mm.
any outlier of our day would be laughed at. Look at someone like Elon Musk. He wants to get us to Mars in the next, I don't know, 50 years, I guess. And we laugh at him and say, come on, man, psh, Mars, dude. But then just look at all the great like achievements and accomplishments that he's managed to achieve. So
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like something that we shouldn't laugh at. So anyway, getting back to Edward Kukan. In my story, I was like, okay, what if he actually makes it to space, right? So then my story was he actually manages to build the rocket and gets to space, but then he travels so fast that he actually breaks the time barrier and then finds himself in the quantum realm, and that's where the game begins. So it's like, oh, okay. So then the game pretty much runs the gamut of you trying to get through, trying to leave the quantum realm, but the quantum realm has its own like physical and environmental like properties. Like the way time works in the quantum realm is totally different compared to the way it works in reality. It's like bi-directional and whatnot. I'm getting sideswiped here.
Sounds like Matrix in a bit.
Yeah, it does, and yeah, it's a weird concept, but it's super interesting. But anyway, let's not dwell on theories, and let's talk about more realistic things here. So, Kima, AI. How far along do you feel like um, the AI symbiosis will occur or happen, if it isn't already happening? Because I'm looking at companies like Neuralink, for example, where their core uh, business logic is to integrate humans and AI, like have that fusion, to have AI help us perform better. Like, do you feel like it's something that's feasible as well, or is it far-fetched?
I think it's still very feasible. It just needs a unique way of just merging it with either our education system or just bringing it down to um, allowing people to, each and every person who has a level of literacy, to be able to understand it. I feel like there's this, I feel like when something is introduced, there should be enough time for people to actually understand what it is and how it should work before you actually introduce your main object. Your objective should be this, but in the first place, let's just begin with educating enough people and just enlightening people on how everything works. But I feel it's very closer to us now than before. I feel like already we are talking of education now. Majority of learners are now using video conferencing. We can use that to help us keep the data that we're learning. We can help us. It can help like even teachers analyze where they're missing out. I feel like the more digitalized certain things are, it's much easier to trace errors and keep track of what you're doing. So I feel just breaking it down to what solutions it's providing is going to be so easy.
Cool. I mean, yeah, just to add on to that, I was having this conversation with Joel, um, just like as far as like us merging with AI is concerned, like we are already a part of that system. We are feeding the machine in that regard. The fact that your information is in the cloud, like I can easily search your name and then I'll find some traces of you online on the internet. So it
Mhm.
means we are feeding that hive mind already. Do you feel like AI governance is of huge importance if it's something that we're gonna like cross over to going forward?
Of course, I mean, anything that is brought to light has to have its safety put in place.
Yeah.
I feel, yeah, yeah.
Do you feel like it?
I don't know. Uh-huh.
Sorry, I was gonna ask if you feel like it can be weaponized.
Very much so. In fact, it's very likely to be taken advantage of if we're not careful. Because I could tell you this, but even though I'm being recorded, I feel like it's not something anyone would say. Uh, the system that pays us calculates the hours of work you've put in. So I
Mm,
feel like that system, for someone like me who ended up finding out how it's working too quickly, I ended up, out of reluctance and just saying, let me try this. You know,
yeah,
I ended up just manipulating a small thing and I didn't know what I was doing. I was completely blind with what I was doing.
yeah,
I ended up I ended up finding that it had calculated more hours than I had worked. And I was confused at first. How I was like, how did this work? I found out some small loopholes.
okay,
So that small loophole, which of course I feel like there's so many teams that are managing it, they managed to find out that loophole. And then it was later on discovered. So I was thinking, well, if someone had found this out sooner, they
yeah,
would literally be clocking in for work, make sure the time is on, just do some funny maneuvers and
yeah.
leave. By the time they get back, it would have said you worked 6, 7 hours. Meanwhile, you were just doing nothing. So I feel like, of course, these systems have their own limitations.
So,
So extra care.
how much access do you have to the system? Like, as far as like the back end is concerned, do you actually get to write code for the system, or do you just get to configure the rudimentary logic, or do you actually get to work with the back end as far as like programming the system is concerned?
Yeah. I do not, I'm just at the front. I have no access to the back because majority of the developers are in the United States.
Okay.
So, and I don't think there's anyone here in yeah. So I feel it would be interesting, but no, I only have access to the basic front end stuff. So what I do basically is this AI system is erroneous and it will make mistakes here and there, but I have to correct its mistakes. I
Yeah.
have to make sure it's accurate. And yeah, that work is sent and then it's reviewed and then it's sent to a client. So everything that I do is on the surface, but I do other projects like image annotation. It just
Oh,
does a small generation of code. Yeah,
yeah.
it just generates a small piece of code and I have to make sure it's correct and so that I send it to the next item and just a few checkups here and there.
Do you know what language it's written in? What programming language is
Um,
used?
Look, I think every other day it changes. Majority of them instructions that are written are short, not too long. Like by long, I mean just maybe maximum of 28, 20, 50 lines, not too much. So yeah.
Okay. I was actually asking about the system, the programming language that's used
The
on the
in
back
the
end
system.
of the AI
No,
system.
I have no
Yeah.
access to that. I have
Oh, okay.
zero
Okay.
access to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I mean, they don't disclose that information to you.
Not until you're actually invited for that job, because I do see some openings for those jobs,
Yeah.
but majority of those jobs are very high level jobs. Like you need vast experience and you really need to be at the top of your game
Yeah.
to get there. Yeah.
Okay. Super interesting though. I
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, are there any openings? I would love to have a look at the system.
I will look out for those, but they're very rare at the moment because I know they're the good jobs. They're the jobs that are the best jobs, I think, at the moment.
Great. And
So I feel they, yeah.
and is it enough to make a living off of? Like, are you
Which
able to make a living
the
off? Yeah, are you able
the
to make a living off
of
the
course.
jobs? Yeah.
Oh, because of the nature of what I'm doing, I work on my shift. So if I'm given this shift, maybe 3 shifts a day, there are
Yeah.
times when I can clock in and pick whatever files that I can work on. So my income is based off of how much I'm able to put in.
Okay.
So every time I did, yes, I was able to live up to my own income that I wanted.
Okay. So the primary job is the one you have locally here. Then the secondary job is the remote job. Is it? Or is it vice versa?
I think there. Yeah. Oh, okay. I treat them all the same because I
Okay.
find time to say, let me do the one that's more time demanding. So
Yeah.
let me do the one, the mostly is the AI jobs. I have to clock in on time. I don't have to be late. I don't have to take too long on a file. I have to make sure I
Yeah.
submit it on time. So that's that. And then if there's anything that can wait, I do it later on.
Great. 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 So you work on weekends as well?
I can work any day at any time because the good part is there's people in the United States right now. It's daytime,
Yeah.
so if I'm seeing friends are able to
I
be
think
sending jobs
Oh,
to their
yeah,
other
we
countries,
lost
I
some
can
audio.
work weekend. Can you hear me?
yeah. Your
Oh yeah, we can.
network like
Yeah. So
dropped
I feel
for a second
if
there.
I'm able to grab jobs on the weekend, it's just because I feel like working on the weekend.
Oh,
Otherwise, I feel they reduce. I think deliberately the company just reduces the amount of jobs on the weekend so people can rest.
yeah. Yeah. Okay. And is cryptocurrency as well? Is that something that's, I mean, that like piques your interest, or is that something that you're involved with as well as far as like your work is concerned?
Oh, I'm not too involved in those, but I
Okay.
do like to learn about them. Yeah,
Yeah.
not yeah.
Okay. I guess that's a conversation for another day.
Yeah, I think earlier I had mic issues, so I was actually quite interested in maybe like, I mean, that's if Kima doesn't mind, like how you actually sort of managed to move away from like taking up too much work over Christmas and all that, and striking that work-life balance. It's, yeah, I think that's something that actually struck my interest from that angle. And I think seeing that I've actually had an experience of both having like a life coach, like looking at the therapy session and comparing the before and after. Yeah, I think, I think I would actually be interested, and maybe like in just learning more in how you like sort of like managed on your own to um move into a more balanced, hopefully it's more balanced work life thing set up.
Oh, I feel I started just by doing less, a lot less. I've because I recently, it's just been about a month now. Just 2 months ago, I
Yeah,
was still, running up and down.
yeah,
I'm taking a break when I need to take a break, because even just taking the time to visit people you haven't seen in a while really brings
Yeah.
it brought me it's humbling somehow to say, I mean, you still need to invest in people as much as you're invested in what you're doing. So I found out, like, let me just take the amount of jobs I'm able to do today, and let me also clock out as soon as I can say I can clock out, because sometimes I'm told to clock out at this time, but then if you're a good performer, you're sometimes given even more tasks to do. So sometimes I'll just decline and say, okay, I'm done for the day, and then try and maximize my time for people.
So that would be like you declining without offering a window to say an opportunity to say, well, you can bring it tomorrow.
It
I
doesn't
know
work like
obviously
that
they'll
really.
push it. Yeah.
There's always people
So you
who
just
are
say,
also eager to boost up their rating. So they're there to say, well, I'll take that job, I'll do this, I'll take the harder job. And sometimes there's always that level of competition, a healthy competition that they've managed to build up within the company.
yeah,
It's not to, yeah, I found it very encouraging, but it also gets the better of you if you're not awake. It will just consume all your thoughts. You'll just be thinking, let me do this file, let me do it so well. And if that's all you're thinking about, I think you lose yourself to a point where I think, yeah, you really need to come back to earth.
yeah. Interesting. Interesting.
How do you
Any comments
balance?
on that, Milo?
I was just going to ask
Oh, okay.
how uh, how you manage to balance your work and school life, because your work seems pretty demanding, and then the course you're taking is it's an evolving
It's
course as
just
well.
as much.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why I feel this year has been too tough on me. It's really shown me how hard it is to balance those two, because for one, I feel like for my courses, they're really, really tough. And I feel like I have lecturers who are not so helpful. So it's all on you. And then at the end of the day, it's been time management, which has been difficult, because each day I have to plan for what I'll do. So if I know I'll spend this much time here, and then if that time just goes off or goes beyond, I get confused to a point where if it's not planned for, I don't even know what to do with it anymore.
The world from like two ends. So we have the advanced, I mean, we're adopting more of, like advanced tech from the Western world, and then we also have the opportunity to roll back where we see certain things might could have been better, like better planned. Maybe how do you see that as an opportunity for us to um, reflect and I mean, do you see that as a responsibility for us as African students, sort of taking more interest and drive how the world then moves on in terms of getting digitized, to what extent, even looking at things like AI governance and data governance, like how much of what should be the limit. Do you see us as the people that should be like the keepers of advanced age and a less advanced age?
That question is very long, very detailed, but I'll try to remember up to where you say how we can bring it to us, right? How we can
Yeah,
digitalize stuff. But I feel like most of us as Africans, we have these problems, but the problem is we are more comfortable with them and we don't realize the actual problems. One example is how we still use very old, outdated methods to do stuff. Like you would walk into a police station, you would not see one computer sometimes. You would not see at the receptionist. You'd walk into a hospital, they'll only ask you for your clinic card. I mean, certain information as small as this can easily be replaced by digital systems, whereby if you know this is your name, they will search you up, they'll find you quickly, they'll be able to pick up your information. Loss of data, we have all these errors. We have things like when you go to the passport office, you go there with this passport number, and if you lose a passport, they would have to make you a new passport with a different number. I don't know how exactly that works, but I feel if it's one thing, it should be as constant and easy to work with. But I feel the problem is at hand with Africans or us as Zambians is the problems are very much existing, but we don't even realize it enough to say, why don't we have this? We don't ask the question long enough to say, why we're not pushing for the type of innovation. The type, of course, people want to get one step at a time to say, let's get employed first, let's earn enough money. But we're still doing things in a way that still hinders our progress in one way or the other. So I guess that's one way to answer that.
Okay. So maybe, yeah, then rephrasing the second part. So do you feel we have an opportunity to actually maybe do certain things better than how how like existing high-end tech has been done, because we've seen what works from the traditional paper-based systems and what could have been done better from the advanced things? Or do you think we should just quickly copy and paste?
A
Like,
very, very, very good idea. A very good question, I mean, is I feel we don't explore this area enough to bring out ideas yet. That's why at the point, really, it feels like you have to give up and say, fine, give us the work. Let's see how you did it from this Western country and let's just do it the same way. But I feel we have enough and a lot of smart brains around that are able to awaken up ideas, new ideas. And
yeah,
such ideas really need to be sponsored, and I feel certain ideas are still buried right now. They are there, they're very much there. They're just buried, they're unheard of, they are yet to see the light of day. And I do think we do have enough potential for such.
true, interesting. Um,
All right.
yeah.
So just in tandem with that, you feel like we have the raw talent here, but what you feel we're lacking, is it resources?
No, honestly, I don't think it's true. Money is there.
Okay.
The money, whatever, it's there. And I know it is. The
How do you
problem
know?
is the idea is not, ideas are there and they're not supported.
Yeah.
Don't ask me how I know. I know
It's
money is always
how do you
there.
know? Anyway, that was a joke. You so if the money is there, do you feel like it's just being like allocated to like the wrong, maybe not the wrong, but
Exactly.
it's just not being
It's
it's not being used to
it's not
prioritize.
supported enough. Yeah.
Okay.
hmm
Okay.
I feel like we are moving from a time when MTN had no mobile money to now when we have mobile. If people were told before, you can actually use your phone to send money from one person to the other, no one
Yeah.
would have bought into the idea. It took, that brain to say, let's put this to the light, let's show
Yeah.
people it's done. And that takes, of course, resources. But I feel like if enough enlightenment is given to people, they'll be able to, push for it themselves.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I do agree that money is being allocated to projects like um, healthcare projects and maybe the financial tech, the fintech industry as well. But it's not being. I might not know this. It's just this might be me spitballing here, but like it doesn't feel like it's being allocated to like for example the education system. What's your take
Yes.
on the education system? I mean, I recall you talking about how not so helpful uh, doesn't height.
Sorry.
I mean,
Mhm.
yeah, I recall you talking about how you felt like your lecturers aren't that involved or that supportive. Do you feel like the education system is something that could be better or could do better?
Yes, yes. I really think if they were to start from there, it would be the best place.
Yeah,
We have people already just thinking, problem is we only have people on survival mode. So everyone's only thinking of the mere basics they will need to survive after school. No one's
Yeah.
really going to say, let me explore this idea, let me work on this. No, we are limited to what we can get. And I feel if the education system was to open up to allow people to spread, to open up to new ideas, to really just give them enough space to be free enough to explore whatever they have, there would be there'll be a greater transition from the way we do things now to what we can be.
Don't you feel like do you feel like it's happening though? Do you feel like we're still lacking in that regard? I mean, as far as education is concerned.
Exactly, yeah. The system itself is outdated, and you need, I feel like if you were to go to certain schools abroad, you'd find certain stuff that we take still the traditional way to say you have to learn this to get this. But I feel we're not building on people's talents. People use their talents as secondary. People will not say I'm talented at this, so let me just work on this until it's my life's career. No, we are
Yeah.
told go to school, become a doctor or a nurse, become this for you to get this. But that's the school, that's the reality we are taught, especially here. And that's not fair because at the end of the day, it's not benefiting people now because with so many graduates, with so many people who are still wondering what the whole point of the paper was.
Yeah. And then like, I mean, you mentioned the interesting was it article or video that you saw of an AI priest. I mean, do you feel like there's like a fine line in that regard because you're not averse towards having, for example, an AI tutor, like an AI lecturer or teacher, but we are averse towards having like an AI pastor or bishop or priest. How would you justify that?
That I can't understand because that's the one space, one sector I would not think would be ever be invaded by any that's something as sophisticated as AI. I mean, you can use the AI to open the windows, let air in, give special effects. That's okay.
Yeah.
But I would not expect it to do what a human being is supposed to do. That's
So
now being too, I don't know. Yeah.
too futuristic, too
Yeah. It's just, it's,
so wait, okay, as far as like you work with AI or as much as you work with AI, you don't believe it has the potential of gaining sentience as far as like AI consciousness is concerned. You don't do you feel like it could be sentient or conscious at a certain point in time?
an AI system, you mean possessing a conscience?
Yeah.
Wow, that's no, I do not. I mean, at the end of the day, it only has ones and zeros within it. It's not, it can never take up certain human roles. So
Never.
no, no, it shouldn't even be allowed to. That's just wrong. It's not okay to have. I mean, it should have its limits.
You have seen the I mean, some people would call it disturbing. I would call it interesting documentaries that have people having AI girlfriends and like,
I have seen such, yes.
yeah. So in
That's
that
also very
regard,
disturbing.
so in that regard, you don't feel like AI has the ability to like learn how to be emotionally relatable.
It's only taught. It will never possess the real thing because at the end of the day, you're not dealing with something that will replace a human being. That's the whole idea is of trying to replace a human being is okay, in a
Yeah.
sense that you're just trying to reduce the labor with the work that the human being is supposed to do. But if you're entirely trying to replace what a human being is supposed to do, that's a very sick kind of thinking, and I do not support it.
Would you be averse towards being governed by AI, like an AI president?
that question in itself, I think
I mean,
it it
look at
knows.
it in this context, right? Like it can't be corrupted if it's programmed to only like govern a nation, and its data set consists of constitutional jargon in that regard.
I'm graded by a system at work. Do you know how frustrating that feels? It's very frustrating because at the end of the
Yeah.
day, it's limited to what it's taught, and then I feel every time I have to submit a ticket for the errors that it made, it would take time to be processed, and I just don't feel that's necessary. So I will have to always, by the time it reaches the person, yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you there. I mean, I was just gonna cut in uh, as far as like you submitting a ticket is concerned, because you that don't you feel like therein lies the problem? Because the ticket has to be submitted to a human being. What if it was
Exactly.
a ticket that was generated and submitted to an AI system? Don't you feel like you
I
would run?
mean, it has the whole idea is there's a human brain behind an AI system. So in as much as you can say it will, it wouldn't work. People would get frustrated and leave at the end of the day because
But you do
the
understand the concept of the singularity, right? Like that's where the so your employers actually like want us. That's the point. That's the summit at which they want us to like reach or get to, where it's able to make its own. I mean, it's able to have like its own data set and thinking process in that regard.
I still want to see that happen, but with so many constraints in place because
Yeah,
I've seen an AI system that's able to paint, like create paintings of its own. But at the end of the day, when you think of it, it's not actually creating, it's just using an algorithm that was put in it, that's just using whatever information it was fed with. It may look like it's a random brush strokes, but even
yeah.
those random brush strokes were preset already by someone. So I always try to see the background of it won't account for something unique or special or self-made. Yeah.
You don't feel like I mean, you speak of like an algorithm, but don't you feel like our thinking processes and the way we like navigate it, in our daily lives, don't you feel like that's algorithmic in a way as well?
Oh, yeah, sure, sure. Yeah, we are the supercomputers of all supercomputers in the
Yeah,
first place. We are the top, and they're inferior. At the end of the day, they're only supposed to they serve us. So yeah.
I hope they won't get to a point of like sentience where they actually get to look back on this video and be like, oh, so we serve you, right? And then it's like there's a backlash from the statement that you just made.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Um, well, I mean, I could go on about AI, and uh, there's a lot of like interesting doors that I could sort of like go through and ask about, but I feel like I mean we could probably do it some other time, or when we
Mhm.
have more time, unless you have any other questions for us.
At the moment, no.
Yeah, Joe.
None for me.
All right, awesome. Okay, well, it's been wonderful talking to you. um, it's been super
Same.
insightful as well. It's been super interesting, and yeah, I look forward to like not arguing, but having more discussions regarding AI, and just to see how far you go within that field of work. Um, and yeah, I would be super interested in finding out what project you're gonna work on as far as like school is concerned, and hopefully you get to a point where
Oh,
you disclose what your co-workers and engineers are planning on bringing to the table as far as like the advancement of technology and AI is concerned in Africa. So yeah, the future looks bright-ish, I guess. Um,
thank you. It's been
yeah,
really, really nice being here.
awesome. Well, I guess we'll catch up on the flip side. How do you say bye when it comes to?
Yeah.
It's not like it's not like conventional television or
Farewell, au revoir. I don't know what else there is.
I think buy has no time frame. So like,
the force be
it's,
with
it's not
you.
like good evening.
Live,
Until next time.
live long and prosper.
Yeah.
All right, guys. You guys
Okay.
have a great night and cheers. Thanks.
Cheers. Goodbye.
Thanks. You
Peace.
too.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.